So welcome everybody and thanks for joining us today for our webinar for our Reapit Lettings Health Check. Over time, we've seen a number of clients' accounts in our community struggle with things in their system like inefficiencies, we see gaps we discover, and the impact to the day-to-day operations with not having clean data or a review of the system and where it can improve. This session is designed to shine a light on those common challenges and more importantly, show you how to fix them. And whether you're a leasing consultant, a property manager, operations lead, or someone responsible for the smooth running of your system, we're here to help you and get the most out of your Reapit platform. In today's session, we're going to hopefully give you something that you can take away and something that you can review within your system. So we're going to look at how to deactivate old employees and users, understanding the importance of completing an on and off list. We're going to review some of your application settings and understand how to audit and update your messages, and also how to further utilize your Reapit viewing alongside with your inspections. So before we get started on that, I am going to launch a poll and we'd like to hear from you in regards to a question. Let me just bring it up and I'll bring out the poll for you if you can kindly answer. So the poll will be, I'm going to launch this now. How often do you do a health check within your system? So that might be reviewing your messages, reviewing your settings, some of your reports. Okay, we'll just get a few people to answer those. Okay, so some every 3 months, some have never had and reviewed the system health check, which, that's really great that you're here today to be able to, navigate some tips and tricks that we might have for you that you could implement today. Amazing. Okay, I'm going to end that poll now. Thank you for participating with that. The first thing we're going to actually cover is in regards to your users. So how many times have you tried to assign a user to a property, and Jim Smith, who left the business, 5 years ago, is still in your list? As well as if you're a BDM, if you're using our product, our BDM product, and leads are still in some old team members' names. We're going to show you how to disable some users. We're also going to show you how to bulk update your users in IRE BDM or Lettings BDM, and also how to integrate your calendar. So just on the left-hand side, under settings, we're going to start in admin, manage users. Now, essentially, this is where all of your users are going to be sitting. Let's say Elaine has left your company. You would like to disable them as a user, just select disable, and you'll see this little asterisk there, which you know that they've now been disabled. If you highlight, you can also delete and click OK. So you can see Christine has also been disabled. We're going to delete them as a user in our system. If we scroll along to the left-hand side under people and team, this is where your team members are going to be sitting. If you wish to deactivate a team member, simply on the right-hand side, the 3 dots, you could make that team member inactive. And now that team member is inactive there. In this section here, you can remove them from all reports if you like. I'm just going to remove them from all of the reports. That particular user was attached to a report in my system. Okay, so there you go. Now, under Office 365, if you haven't synced your calendar, you can select Harry Styles, for example, would like to integrate our calendar so that when we are creating our inspections, you will be able to sync that with your calendar. All you need to do is simply click Add Calendar, and then you click on Authorize. When you do create your inspections from there, that will then sync with your calendar. Now I'm just going to pause this for a moment. I'm just going to stop sharing for the minute. And we'll just go back to the learning outcomes. I will come back to showing you how to change your BDM leads within the system. I'll just set that up in just one moment and I'll come back to that and show you how to do that. Okay. Alrighty. So I'll just share that screen again. Apologies. Okie dokie. That's come through now. So under people and team, you will also have the tab here, BDM. So you can see that these particular staff members are attached to or can be attached to leads because it's ticked on as BDM. Under the rentals tab, you also have your column chooser where if you'd like to drag and drop to see a BDM or have that selected there and click Save View. And then let's say Harry Styles, unfortunately, doesn't want to be a BDM anymore, doesn't want to be assigned to any more leads. You can untick that and click Save. When you go into your BDM leads, Harry Styles will no longer be able to be allocated to those particular leads. So just to recap on that, settings, admin, manage users. This is how you can come through and disable and delete your user. Under people and team, if you wish to make a staff member inactive, 3 dots, make them inactive. You can also integrate your calendar so that when you do create your inspections from the create new button, it will sync with your calendar. And if you need to assign somebody to be able to be assigned BDM leads, you can tick them on. Now, one common thing we do see within the systems under the lettings BDM tool, let's just say these particular leads are all assigned to Dua Lipa. Let's say Dua Lipa's left the business and we need to assign all of these leads into Harry Styles. All we do is we bulk select, come down to the little bulk update selector here. There's a couple of various things that you can do within this section here. You can change statuses in bulk, but for this purpose, we are only wanting to change the BDM. So we're going to select the BDM that we would like to assign all these leads for and click OK. You can see now that all the leads have now been assigned to Harry Styles. So just some quick little things that you can do within your system to keep your team members clean. If you need to reassign, you can reassign from there as well. The next part of our session today is talking about the importance of on and off listing. I'm sure that majority of you on the call may have seen an on or off list in your time. So the on and off list is crucial for accurate reporting and is designed to promptly on list and finalize vacancies within your Reapit letting account. For your on lists, by adding in your owners, your tenants, details, captures information for you to be able to send reports to your owners, send tenant reminders for upcoming inspections as well. The off list effectively notifies applicants when the property is withdrawn from the market. Activation of this off list can and most commonly is set when a specific status is changed to paid. It would generally trigger your off list. Commonly, that is the common, I guess, trigger, but it can also be done manually as well. By leveraging this report, all interested parties, regardless of their registration status, are consistently informed, and it promotes transparency and effective communication. You don't have to be calling all your tenants to let them know that the property's been leased. The system will do it for you. So one common thing we see quite often is that the on and off lists do not or are not completed. So under reports, letting on off lists. In your system, under the on list report, select who you would like that on list report to be sent to, whether it's the listing agent or the property manager. When you upload your property into Reapit Lettings, that's when it's going to trigger your off list. And most commonly, you will receive the email, whoever it is assigned to complete it. Now, under the action on list, these are the 2 reports that are currently pending that have not yet been completed. The system will email you once, as reminders for you to complete it. However, If you, for whatever reason, haven't completed it or you didn't receive the email, you can come to reports, letting, on off list, and action these on lists. Now, I'm going to run through a couple of key things with the on list that may be of importance and help your office. So think about your office. Some offices have a leasing agent and a property manager. If you can all actually place it in the chat, how does your office operate? Do you have solely specific leasing agents that then report to property managers? If you can pop it in the chat, that would be quite interesting for us to know, because a couple of these items that we're going to run through with your on list could really help. Okay, some have just got PM. That's totally fine. Just PM. This will still assist you with what we're going to run through. Okay, awesome. Thanks for answering those. Okay, with your on list, a couple of key things. As you know, this information all pulls in from when you've uploaded your property, making sure that you have your listing agent there. Now, if you do have an alarm code, if the property that you're opening up does have an alarm code, pop it in this section here, or as well as any key numbers. Adding in your occupants. So by adding in the occupants, just simply click add and add tenant. When we run through your messages a little bit later on in this webinar, whenever you do create an inspection via the Create New, your occupants will also receive reminders prior to that inspection. So by adding in your tenants, if you do open up tenanted properties, they will receive those reminders. If the property is owner occupied, you can simply click owner occupied. Step 4, if you don't have your owners in the system, add your owners in. This will then allow us to send reports from the system. Okay, and you can also send reminders out to your owners for certain things that you may wish to turn on in the back end, but it's more so for your reporting. Step 5, one of my favorite steps here. So adding in any additional property features, but 2 key things that we want to point out. Notes. Whatever you place in this notes section here is for only internal purposes. So let's just say this particular property, 881 at 80 Clarendon Street, the property is on the 80th floor. You know, you might want to pop in notes about the particular property so that when you're opening up the property, if you need to refer to notes or you need to remember something specific about that property, you can add it in the notes. And when we go into Reapit viewings, I'll show you where you'll be able to find those notes there. So let's just make some notes there. So notes are internal. What's not internal are anything that you add in these property specific merge field boxes. So this one here, this merge field is in all of your messages unless you've deleted them out. But let's just say you would like to pop things in that tenants commonly ask you, you know, when is the property available? How long is the lease? Whatever you place in these boxes will always go out with your corresponding automation emails if this merge field is in your messages. So that's an important one there. Click next. Obviously, you can add in your inspections from here. So let's just add one in for today. And then go forth with completing the on list. You can prospect from here. So, you know, you can send emails to anyone that has inquired within your system about similar properties to this one. We can send that through, and then we can also go through to find me a tenant. So that's essentially completing your on list. A couple of key things there to hit just as a reminder, adding in your tenants, adding in your owners so that you're able to report to them, as well as adding in anything there that you specifically might need in your notes for Reapit viewing when we touch on that. Now with your off listing, Again, if you haven't set who you would like the off-list reports to be sent to, come through here and tick them on. Most commonly in a lot of systems that we do see, the off-lists don't get actioned. So depending on your workflow and think about your workflow, there is a certain trigger, which when we go into the settings, I will show you. If it's not set on for you, I'll show you how to turn that on. But essentially, in my system, when I mark an application as paid, it is going to trigger an off list for me. This is where I can come in and check what off lists I have not completed. If I click on Action, Off List, what you will do with the off listing is you'll indicate why you're off listing the property. In this instance, let's say we've leased it. This is when they're moving in, the term of the lease, and also your achieved rent. If you had any future inspections booked for this specific property, it will cancel that inspection, as well as any waiting tenants will also be notified that the property has been leased. This also pulls through to your end of month reporting. So making sure that this information is correct will be crucial for your end of month reports, simply by just clicking off list, and that's property has now been off listed. So some key things there with your on and off lists. Moving on to Reapit viewings. So Reapit viewings is more than just a check-in system with your tenants. You can send reports to your owners straight after an inspection, saving that phone call, or if you are coming back to the office to write up a report to send to your property managers or to your owners how the open went, you can simply send a report on site to your agents and your owners. So, they can save results within, see the results within seconds of the inspection, as well as your tenants can automatically be notified on how to apply for a property with one click of a button. So everyone has seen Reapit viewings before, but have you actually done a health check of your settings on Reapit viewing? So let's start on settings, letting, tenant questions. Now this little button here, send tenant messages automatically on save inspection. So depending on what you check in your tenants as, when you tick this on and click save, whenever you're using Reapit viewings, when you click save, your tenants will automatically receive a response depending on how you've checked them in. So you might want to turn that one on so that's automated for you. Under tasks, you have the ability to add in tasks within Reapit viewings, simply clicking add another task. And you can add in questions and the response, whether it's a drop-down box. You can add in as many tasks as you like, as well as amending the questions that you're asking your tenants. So settings, letting, tenant questions. Turn this setting on if you'd like automatic messages going out to your tenants after inspections. If you'd like to add in any tasks or amend your tenant questions, this is where you can do that. Now, if I come to my Reapit viewings and let's have a look at my run for the day, let's have a look at this one, for example. So under tasks, you can clearly see that these are the tasks that I have in my back end settings. Is the property clean? Yes or no? These are not mandatory to fill out, but if you'd like to fill them out, you can. You can also enable photos. Let's say I turn up to the property and there's a fallen tree, and I'd like to report that to the property manager or to the owner. Simply going to toggle this as yes, and I can add my note in there. I can also add in weekly owner report comments. This can filter through to your weekly owner reports if you do them from the system. If I just move along to the information, earlier when I completed the on list, I wrote some notes, the internal notes. This is where I will be able to view them. If I scroll down, if I added in an alarm code, you can find the alarm code here. And scrolling all the way down, my tenants and owners are also in the system if I needed to call them whilst I was on the road. I've got those details there. If I move along to tenants, depending on the status, whether they've attended, not attended, applying or not applying, making sure that these are actually filled out because this also does filter through to your reporting. And under more, if I do have any specific questions that I've added in or amended, this is where I'll find them. Now, if I click save, this tenant will automatically receive an automatic message on how to apply for the property because that has now been turned on in my back end. Coming up to the top, I have this PDF filter here. So if I want to send myself or if I need to send to my agent a report of that inspection, this is what you'll see. You'll also see the image that I have created there or uploaded. There'll be a button here for you to send this report, post-inspection report to the agent. Now, there's two different reports you can send to your owners. One is the quick report. Now, you can amend these messages and we will touch base on the messages a little bit later, but you can amend this message that you would like to send to the owner. Hence the importance of making sure you're checking in your tenants because this is pulling in from those check-ins. You could send that quick report to your owner. You also have your owner full report. If you send the owner full report, they'll also see the tasks that you've added in there, the image that you've added in. So that's a little bit about Reapit viewing and your settings and how it pulls into actually Reapit viewing. Okay. Now I'm going to launch another poll because this is going to help us identify, just bring that up. So for everyone that's on the call, are you currently submitting your applications to your owners from To Apply? I'll leave that poll up for a moment. No, tell me more. Yes, we love it. It's 50-50 here. Yep. Excellent. So 75% of you don't and 25% of you do. I will just end this poll. Thank you for sharing that. I'm just going to jump into back into Reapit viewings before we go into applications because there is a question within the chat about making internal notes. Yes, there is a way that you can make adding in your internal notes. I'll just show you. So if we just come back to this particular property under the more section, this is your agent comments that's internal only. So yeah, if you wanted to add in your own internal notes, you can add your own internal notes from there. I hope that's helped. Alrighty. Let's go into your application settings. So by conducting a health check of your applications could mean that you will have greater efficiencies if these specific items are turned on. So there's a few of you on the call that do submit your applications to the owners and there's some that don't. Let's start with the settings of that. So if we go to settings, applications, under application summaries, owner PDF. There's two ways that you can submit applications to owners. One is via creating a PDF for your owners, or two, if you've got more than one applicant, you can do a compare comparison. Let's start with the owner PDF. This is where you can set up the PDF once so that every time you create that PDF, you don't need to go in and keep deleting information about that particular tenant. You've set it up once according to your legislation as well, and you don't have to keep going. So under the owner PDF, this is what's included in the summary in this list. If you didn't want to show, for example, applicant info, you can highlight and remove. Or if you wanted to add that into your PDF, you can include that. Coming down below, if the checkbox is selected for the following, it will show in your PDF. So you can go through and tick and untick what you want to show in the PDF. It's always recommended for you to download a PDF first to see what's actually there. And then that might give you a better idea about, what you're showing your owners. The next is under the application comparison. You can tick on or off what you want your owner to see. Now, if you're not submitting applications and you want to, I would leave your owner notes within the system turned on so that when you're writing a summary to your owner within the application, that will appear on your compare comparison field. So you can come in, select, and save. So that's how you can actually set that up once so that you don't have to keep going back in and turning on and off certain information within those applications. Now, when you do send an application to an owner, the owner has the ability to action, decline, or approve an application. And there are certain questions that the owner needs to tick to say that they agree to those certain conditions. So under references, reference questions, all the way down to owner questions, my system has got 6 owner questions for them to complete. There's a total of 14. It's up to you whether you wish to turn that on, all of them, on or off. But what that essentially looks like as a owner experience, I'll just bring that up and share my screen. Essentially, when an owner receives the email from you and you've sent through the application, this is essentially what they'll see. So we've got an application that you'd like to review. They would click on View Applications. And when that link opens up, this is what they'll see. Now you can see my owner notes here. So rather than me going back out into my Outlook, typing up an email to the owner, sending that off, I've done that all through to apply. The owner can read through my notes and they can also see the things that I have ticked on. All the owner does is click action. And this was the backend settings I was talking about earlier, where they must tick that they agree to these terms and conditions. So you can actually add in more and the owner will click approve or decline. So essentially that's how that looks. I'll just reshare my screen. Just bear with me one moment. And we'll go back into, okay. So that particular area that I was in where the owner clicked approve or decline, and they had their points that they needed to tick that they agree, was under references and owner questions. You can turn on as many questions as you like that's in the system. Under general, application summaries, agent PDF, sorry, owner PDF and application comparison. This is where you can set up that particular PDF or application summary once, and you don't have to keep going back and forth to change that. Now, references. Let's have a quick chat about references. Automatic references. If you don't have your automatic references turned on, this is where you can come in and turn them on. So when an application has been submitted, in my system, these references will automatically be sent a reference to answer. So all you need to do, if you don't have this turned on, come in, select to apply, select the reference type that you would like to have automated, set the default staff, who that response will go to, and primary, secondary, and default staff. So if, for example, the default staff, the email bounces back, it will go to the secondary sender. And if that bounces back, it will go to the default staff there. If you would like to see what questions are being asked to, let's say, the agent landlord, perhaps you require a mandatory tenant ledger. This is where you can come and select the questions for each reference. So we're in agent landlord, and I've got 10 questions to ask. If you're finding that your references are taking too long to come back, perhaps you might have 34 questions turned on. You might want to look at that and have that reviewed. Or perhaps you might not like question 8, but you like question 16 instead. you can come in and you can change the questions you're being asked. And if you'd like a tenant ledger mandatory, just select that and click save. So you can go down the list and select which questions you would like to ask your referees. Just take a pause a moment there. So we're under settings, application, references, and under reference questions. It's in the same spot under owner questions is where you can actually select the questions that you would like your landlords to agree to when you're submitting the application. If we come up to the top to status rules, so in the status rules, whatever you mark an application as paid or whatever you have it named within your system, all other applicants will receive another specific message automatically to say that they were unsuccessful. So if you don't have that set up and you're still calling all of your tenants to let them know they haven't been approved, this is where you can set that up there. Update status notification rules. So whenever you're working through your applications, if you don't want the automation emails to go out when you would change the status to waiting payment or more information required, you can add a rule. And let's just say it's with owner. Whenever you change the status with owner, it won't automatically fire out that message. The wizard will pop up for you to be able to amend that message there. So that was under the status rules notification. Now, the send reference requests here. As I mentioned earlier, some of them are automated. So as soon as the application has been submitted, all the application references will fire off. However, if you don't want that to be automatic, under the send reference requests, you can actually tell the system, for example, whenever I change the status to more information required, I want you then to fire off the reference to the property housing agent. You can select whichever message you would like to be sent when you change a specific status. So that's something that you can do there. And lastly, under the triggers, in my system, whenever I've marked a tenant as paid, it's when it's going to trigger the off list. So think about your workflow and how you want that workflow to work. As we mentioned earlier, when we were talking about your off lists, that can accumulate if you don't actually trigger off your off lists and complete them. So if you don't have that turned on, when you change your status to paid, it will trigger the off list and you can do it there and then. So this is all under settings applications, and we're working through these particular tabs. Now, many a times we see applications sitting in current. So I'm just going to go to lettings applications. So many times we've seen applications in current that have been leased. But for some reason, the workflow wasn't done correctly, or maybe you didn't know that when you change the status to pay, that it triggers the off list. Whatever the case may be, we do see this quite often, leaving your system with not clean data and plenty of applications sitting in the system, and tenants are not being notified that the property has actually been leased. So what you can do to bulk update this, you can actually filter. So we're under letting applications, and I'm in my current. Let's say 33 Carlisle Drive has been leased, but I've got all these applications sitting in the system. If I just come to my address, do a little search, bulk select, and I'm going to bulk update this status. I'm going to shift everyone to unsuccessful good, but let's say that this application was, leased last year, but I want to clean up my data. I don't necessarily want the default message to be sent. So just leave that unticked and click confirm. So that's just cleaning up your data. If you do have quite a few applications in your current that haven't been updated within the statuses, this is how you can do that. So by making these small changes in your system and aligning them to your business needs, it may improve your efficiencies, stopping people calling you for updates on how their applications are going by you working through those workflows of your applications, as well as marking your applications as paid once everything's done and dusted. We'll notify all other applicants that the property has been leased. Now let's have a look at messages. So on the left-hand side, if I just come to my messages, we're going to touch on lettings and applications. But do you still have COVID rules in all of your messages? How long ago have you reviewed your messages? Do they still align with your brand, your voice, your business? Um, or your processes might have changed. So you might want to come into this section here and look at reviewing your messages. Some key sections of these messages is the waiting payment, waiting not registered, reply no times available. So to edit a message, for example, all you do is click edit. You'll see this gray arm populating out and you'll see that it is ticked on as tenant. Okay, so edit, tenant. Scroll down, have a look at your messages there. The property specific merge field. I'm going to pause for a moment. Where did you see this merge field? Somewhere in this webinar, we spoke about this property specific merge field. Can anyone remember where that merge field was? Yes, excellent, on the on list. Yeah. So by you adding anything in that specific box, you can see here that it is in your messages. So whatever you write on that on list box will automatically go out with your messages, as well as if you're allowing applications before inspection, don't delete out that agent app phrase, but you might want to come in and have a look at the waiting, not registered messages, the registered, also under the inspected owners. So this was the quick report back end message when we were in Reapit viewings and we sent that email out to our owner to let them know what happened at that inspection. You might want to come in and customize this to make it sound like your brand and your voice, as well as the owner report. This one here, you might want to come in and review that message there. Inspected tenants, these particular messages are pertaining to the statuses that you place in Reapit viewings. So let's just say you're in Queensland. And I know Queensland has had some reforms recently where you need to add in your Form 22. Perhaps in this particular message, you might want to upload your Form 22 in this email attachment and attach it to this specific message. You can attach it and click add. And anytime you mark someone as applying and you click save, that automatic message will go out with that applying message. So you might want to come in and review that there. Under the inspection reminders, again, in your on list, if you are adding in your tenants, make sure that the occupier is turned on for these reminder messages. So in my system, 1 day before the inspection at 5 o'clock and 2 hours before the inspection, my occupier, I might want to turn on for my tenants to receive a reminder message about the inspection. How many times have you turned up to an inspection and someone might have forgotten that you had an inspection there? So, you might be able to turn this on and those reminders will come out automatically. Don't forget, in Reapit letting, whenever you are making a change, please make sure you click save. It does not automatically save. So make a change and click save. The other message that you might want to look at reviewing is under messages and applications. So this is essentially your workflow. But the waiting payment message is one that you might want to look at reviewing. Have you recently changed your process? The waiting payment is essentially the congratulations email. You might want to add in, if you do have a welcome letter, if you upload any attachments on the left, you can attach it to this specific message. You might want to have a look at that there and come in and review those particular messages. Lastly, I'm just going to touch on reports. So reports and letting. If you would like to add in your post-inspection reports to see what post-inspection messages are going out, you can come into the daily schedule post-inspection report and create that report to be sent to you. So you can select whether you want these every day, at a specific time, and maybe the last 7 days, and pop in who you want these reports to be sent to. It's just a way for you to check that you have sent those post-inspection messages out from your system. That's something that you can do from there.